Hey guys, so today I want to talk to you about my two favorite lenses that I use for run and gun. They're Sony native lenses. They're well priced and they're great for interviews. Let's get into it. And if you haven't already tuned to this channel, we do gear reviews, tutorials, just talk about anything that's camera related, lens related, or techniques, how to shoot specific videos, whether it's for a commercial, brand, or for personal projects. That's what we do here on the channel. Anyway, let's get into it. Now, these lenses have been around for quite some time. They're really reasonably priced for what they do. And I think for video interviews and small situations like that, they're really lightweight and they will get the job done. Now, if you don't have the budget to get the G Master lenses, there are a little bit of things that are going to be different, but for what I'm doing and for interviews, these are going to be amazing, amazing lenses. So these two lenses actually have been around for quite some time. They're both Sony native lenses. Now they're full frame lenses, and I think they're priced pretty good for what they are. Now you could go out and buy like a Viltrox or some sort of other cheaper brand. These do really well with the autofocus system. Not saying that the others don't, because I've owned ones as well. So don't get me wrong, I've used other lenses that were not Sony native lenses. They were a little bit cheaper, but I ran into some issues sometimes with autofocus and other things like that. Some worked well and some didn't, but these are great for that mid-little budget that you want to get some interviews done, maybe do a 2-camera setup. These two lenses are the ones I use most for interviews. Now the two lenses I'm talking about are the Sony native lenses. These are the FE 1.8 85mm, and this one's going to be the 50mm 1.8. Now it's going to give me that great depth of field that I'm looking for, especially for full frame. It's going to be wonderful. 1.8, you're not going to need a lot of light, so even if you have the bare minimal amount of light, it does really, really well with it. Now, these two lenses are fairly light. This one obviously is coming in a little bit heavier. This one weighs almost nothing. Great carry around lens. Now, I'm not a huge fan of 50mm lens, but for interviews, they're great. This one's gonna give you that really close-up look, depending. You can pull back as well, but that kind of look compared with the 50 and working together is a perfect situation for an interview. Now, they're both prime lenses. Again, 1.8s, super sharp, both of these lenses. Compared to any of the other lenses that they carry, these are super duper sharp. Now, again, for the price, I think they're a great value. Why did I go with native Sony? Well, this one has autofocus and a manual switch on there. It also has a function button we can use. This one's really just straight standard. You've got autofocus, 1.8, 50mm, again, a super light lens. Now, who would I recommend these lenses for? Now, they're both 1.8. For interviews, I really like using a 50mm, and then I love using the 85 to get that really nice portrait look. Some of these places where we do interviews, backgrounds are ugly, we don't have time to art direct, maybe the lighting's not so great, so this gives you a lot of options at 1.8 and that 85. Now, you can use an ND filter if you're using it outside. We have an ND filter system that we use, and this is from Freewell. We've had this for a while, and you have anything from 2 to 5 stops all the way up. CPL on there as well, and they're magnetic once you screw these on, or you can use your own ND filter as you wish. As far as the threading on this specific lens, this is gonna be a 67mm thread up top on this guy. And for the 50, it's a little bit tougher. It's a smaller thread. This one goes a lot smaller. This one is going to be the 49. Now you could use a step-up ring for this. Again, brings in a lot of light, but you'll be able to use that outdoors if you use an ND filter, especially for an interview. Just throwing it out there. Again, as far as sizing goes, you take off these hoods, and they're fairly small and easy, lightweight, lenses to kind of carry around. I really like the look of them, and again, for me, it's that native lens. Autofocus works really, really great with these guys, and they are super sharp. And that to me is really important. I always nail focus with these lenses, and they're super for those fast-paced interviews on a light body camera. The A7SIII, the FX3, I think the crop sensor lenses are a little bit cheaper, but these are great full frame lenses and they're native. Let's talk a little bit about the 85 millimeter. It's a 1.8, really, really sharp lens. Let's see some sample footage here shot with this so you can see the differences and how tight we can get this and how sharp this lens is. Now, if you have two cameras, I would suggest shooting on a 50 for your A shots, and then your B shot, maybe going in for the 85 for that close-up. Now, when it comes to the 50, I love using this as my main. This one is gonna give me, the 85 is gonna give me a nice cutaway shot, or you can use the opposite. It's up to you creatively how you wanna do it, but these are great. Now, if you're using one camera, obviously you can punch in using the 50 if you're using 4K down to 1080, or this, you can get really tight shots if need be on one camera, which is wonderful. Okay, so right now we have the 50 millimeter on the A7 III, and then we have the 85 on the FX3. I just wanted to show you, they're really next to each other in a really tight configuration, just to give me cutaways if I'm talking about something. If I flub, I can cut from one to the other. The one key point is what you have to do is you have to make sure that it matches at least the eye line when you're cutting through. I'm doing this on my own. Typically what I'll do is I'll check the levels and see that my eye line is exactly the same, but this is the 50 over here, and that is the 85. And I wanted to show the difference. Pay attention to the backdrop. They're both shooting at 1.8. That's at 100 ISO, and that is the native 800. And I do have an ND filter on the 85 just to see. So let's take a look at those, see how that looks. Cut in from one to the other, just to give us an idea. So I've always been a big proponent of new isn't always best. Some of these lenses that are out there have been around a while. That doesn't make them that they're, less because they're older. They're actually great pieces of glass. And sometimes I look back at those lenses that I first bought and regret ever selling them. Some of the newer lenses aren't bringing me anything brand new that I really need. For me, it's always about that sharpness, how light they are, and having a 1.8, I mean, that's a huge plus. So thanks again, guys, for watching. Please follow, like, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.